for the third most all-time. He's behind only Karl Malone and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on that list and is already the all-time leader for playoff minutes. LeBron notably said earlier this season, "If I'm not hurt, I am playing." Someone that knows about playing hurt, Jalen Rose, good to have you here with us.
Big time.
Stephen A., is it time for LeBron to consider load management?
No, and I want to be very, very clear about what my personal definition of load management is. If you are tired, I'm concerned about it. Okay, you taking these few games off before the playoffs begins. Well, load management to me is the back and forth, devoid of injury and stuff like that. I don't consider, the more you hear about Kawhi Leonard and what he's enduring and how legit and serious his ailments are. Okay, I understand you managing that because day to day you might not be feeling well. That's entirely different than you feeling well, but you like, I got April and May to think about and I'm feeling absolutely fine, but I'm going to take this game off or a game off here. I don't like that. Now, if the season's waning and we going like this, man, we got the number 1 seed. You need to take some time off. We need you. So guess what? You're going to rest these next few games. I don't give a damn what you said. That's not my definition of load management. That's my thing saying, excuse me, you need some rest. Take the rest as opposed to the back and forth element. That's load management to me. And I'm never in approval of that if you are healthy. If you are healthy, it shouldn't be, oh, on Monday, I'm announcing I'm going to skip Wednesday's game, but I'll be back Thursday. If you know you're going to be back Thursday, that means you're healthy enough to play Wednesday. What the hell you doing? I don't support that. But if you want to sit there and say, look, man, he's been playing. He only missed 2 games. He's averaging nearly 35 minutes a game, a team leading. He's in the 17th season. He ain't playing for the next 2 weeks. I'm cool with that. But that's what it needs to be, Jalen.
Max?
Look, he should absolutely load manage. And according to your, we agree about how he should do it, Stephen A., but according to your reasoning, we really disagree about why. So the reason I think he should play but really limit the minutes is we showed the graphic off the top. No one's played more minutes ever except for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Karl Malone, and neither one of them was nearly playing at the level LeBron is presently playing at still. And he has the most playoff minutes of all time. So that says to say nothing of that, those high-intensity minutes. So absolutely limit the minutes as much as possible the rest of the way. But you're saying, oh, it's okay to take games off too, so long as you already have everything wrapped up. The reason I don't like him taking off games at this point is it's a rhythm thing. He's the engine that makes the whole offense go. They didn't pick up another real ball handler, playmaker who can run the offense at the trade deadline. They have to hope there's playoff Rondo still to spell them. But LeBron's the engine that makes it go. For continuity purposes and rhythm purposes, going down the stretch run, remember, the All-Star break's not halfway through. It's way more than halfway through. So going down the stretch run, I'd like the team in a good rhythm entering the playoffs. But that's the reason not to sit him. But if you're okay with sitting him later on, Stephen A., then start doing it now. Because the point, Jalen, to me, in the beginning of every season, I don't care, oh, professionalism, the fans are paying us. No. Try to win a championship, everyone. Go. Right? They're load managing Kawhi because they want to win a championship. Load manage LeBron if you want to win a championship.
Well, if you listen to the commissioner of baseball, it's just a piece of metal, Max. You shouldn't just go into the season and say we're going to win a championship because in that sport, their commissioner feels like it's irrelevant. But for LeBron James here, the thing I appreciate about him is that everything matters. And he does have regular season goals that you guys can't overlook. He wants to be the NBA's all-time leading scorer. He wants to be amongst the top 2 or 3 in assists of all time. You can't get that by missing games. And the Lakers do rely so very much on LeBron James that I think that might become an issue later in the season, but you still want him in uniform. And if you're handling business during the game, playing against Michael Jordan on the court, let me tell you how they load manage. They got up by 20 at the end of the 3rd quarter, and they iced their knees in the 4th quarter. And that's what Stephen A. is alluding to. If LeBron James and his team lock up the number 1 seed, of course, not only are they going to rest LeBron, they're going to also rest Anthony Davis. It ain't going to just be him. You've earned that based on taking care of your business. Now, if they need the entire 82 games to secure the number 1 seed, then LeBron's minutes won't be getting lowered, and he will not be missing games if he's healthy and ready to go.
See, my thing is this, and I get where you come from. You and I are on the same page. Where Max and I part ways on this. Understand, and I think it's very, very important to make this to crystallize this difference. Max walked into the season talking about load management in October. If you took off games in November, Max had no problem with you. That makes no sense to me.
Me either.
That makes no sense to me. That's cheating the game. That's cheating the fans. And it's not, like Max has been positioned, and I don't want to misrepresent him, so I'm going to come to you, Max. But Max has been on the record talking about hell with all that. It's about the chip. Well, excuse me, it's not about the chip. You get paid to play games. Are these guys getting docked 182 of their salary and donated it to charity or something? No, they're not. The money's guaranteed. It's coming in there. You get paid to play games. The customer doesn't sit up there and come to an arena to pay to watch you win the chip. They come to watch you perform November through April during the regular season, 82 regular season games. If you are injured, if you are hurt, if you are treating ailments, that's entirely different. But if you are shooting for a championship and it's November, let's monitor you and make sure you get time off. I think that's utterly ridiculous. And that, to me, is the kind of load management a lot of people have alluded to, which I find reprehensible.
Two things. One, I'm a Lakers fan. I want LeBron, as a Lakers fan, I want LeBron to load manage because I'd like the Lakers to win a championship. If I were a Clippers fan, I'd be happy what they're doing with Kawhi. If I was a Raptors fan, I'd have been happy last year. You're talking about the business ethics and the business interests and thinking about basketball as a whole and the NBA's future and all that. But competitively, from the fans of the team's point of view, they're trying to win. As I said, okay, everyone, here are your teams, go. And Jalen, of course, you're right. Baseball's not basketball, not as many playoff berths. You can't dominate the game with one player, et cetera. I'm talking about among teams that have a genuine shot to win. So that's number one. I don't want to hear when the Clippers win the whole thing, well, it's not fair, Kawhi load manage. They're going to wind up winning the whole thing. He'll be finals MVP. I don't want to hear these excuses. That's one. Two, they share a building, y'all. And if it does come down to Lakers-Clippers, who cares who has home court? It's not going to matter. It's the same arena. Believe me, the Lakers fans are going to be there regardless. This is a season where home court really probably, with the exception of maybe Denver, right? You want to get a better record than Denver, probably means less than it has in previous seasons.
There are probably, and I was writing down the names as you gentlemen were speaking, there are probably 11 guys in the history of basketball who have been notable champions that have done it like multiple times. Starting with Russell, Magic, Bird, Bad Boy Pistons, Hakeem the Dream, Tim Duncan, Shaq, Kobe, Bron, Wade, the Golden State Warriors. Max, you can't only go by who wins the championship and dismiss the playoffs and dismiss the regular season, because all-time greatness is about endurance as well. That's why people feel like MJ's the GOAT, because he brought it in the regular season, he brought it in the playoffs, and he brought it in the finals. So if you don't skip steps, that's ultimately how you earn the respect of the people and earn respect of your peers. Yeah. It's not only about the championship. Here's why. A guy like Chris Paul, a guy like if Barry Bonds played for the Yankees, he have a World Series, but he didn't play for the Yankees. Chris Paul approaches the game like a champion.
Right.
He may not win a ring, but he's a champion. There are a lot of people that play with the guys that I just named that are walking around with championship rings.
They weren't champions. But let me say this to you, and I think you'll appreciate this point where I'm going with this, Jalen. One of the things that I think folks should be very disturbed about, back in the day, it wasn't that much money in the sport, okay? And it almost seems like the more money you get, the more you've insulated yourself from having to be concerned about your financial future, because monetarily speaking, you're in a pristine position compared to what it used to be. Mm-hmm. The more excuses there is to take games off. It's like that's backwards. The fact of the matter is, the more money that's available out there should be less of an excuse for you to justify taking time off, because the money's coming.
I'm going to tell you what that is, Stephen A. Watching this Sunday's All-Star game was the first time in like 15 or 20 years I felt like players were investing back into the game.
Yes, which
based
made
on
it
exactly
special.
what you just said.
That's right.
Because in that period of time you were describing, players knew that you had to grow the game so you could get the TV contracts, the shoe contracts, you could get the notoriety that the players currently have. And so it is up to you to put something back in the pot. And that ain't load managing. It's showing up on a nightly basis if you're healthy and ready to go, and not devaluing the regular season.
Especially when you see what the effects of it's having on the game itself over the last couple of years.
It's
hurting the game.
Of course, you have to find an equilibrium eventually. Like in Major League Baseball, they load manage. It's innings counts and pitch counts. Once upon a time, relief pitchers went 2 and 3 innings every time, sometimes more every time they came out. Then Tony La Russa realized, I want Eckersley to pitch more often. I'm going to protect him. He was load managing, really. Pitchers, I agree. It went overboard with starting pitchers pitching 4 or 5 innings and the game. But I don't think we're there yet with basketball. I agree with you, Jalen, about the All-Star game. I just don't think, look, who invented load managing in the modern NBA? Greg Popovich. Do we look at Duncan any differently? Because sometimes those dudes would not even go on road trips. Greg Popovich is like, oh, my job's to try and win the title. I'm trying to win the title. The commissioner was trying to get involved at that point.
Hold on. You don't look at Tim Duncan that way. You know why you don't look at Tim Duncan that way? Because of Greg Popovich. When Greg Popovich, remember that time Greg Popovich filled out the sheet, old age or whatever it was? Old, right? That's what he said. He didn't even say DRB, old, right? So no, everyone knew it wasn't Tim Duncan. You can't have players out here, living with a smile on their face, sitting on the bench. I'm taking a night off when the paying customers coming out there to see you play. You can't do that.
Let me say one thing about that real quick. I apologize for the delay but let me say one thing about that real quick. Popovich didn't do that for Kawhi eventually. Kawhi wanted to load manage more than Popovich. There was a rift. Kawhi left. The Spurs are also ran since then. Kawhi load managed in Toronto and won a championship, and he's doing it again now.
I remember coming on this show saying Kawhi was unhappy with the Spurs. And it wasn't because of load management, because they misdiagnosed his injury.
That's correct.
And I also remember coming on the show picking the Toronto Raptors to win the championship. And it wasn't because Kawhi load managed, they won. And I'm going to be real with you.